They like it if you're sitting here. Do you want to sit here and bring in the other chair? I don't care if you're moving around. You know that chair that I brought in the room by Rosie? You could just, because look, there's room. Look, see? There would be room. Well, maybe not. I'll shift it. It's not live yet, right?
No, it's live.
Hi. We haven't got Mr. Handy in here yet, and we're waiting for everybody to show up, and I'm late, so I'm sorry. So I hope somebody's watching. Who knows? Maybe nobody's watching. So I'm sorry about the last video where I had no audio. I did 2 in a row. So I had 2 videos with no audio. That was horrible. Very embarrassing. So anyway, I hope you guys are, I don't know. I appreciate you guys even watching at this point. I guess that's the point. So thank you very much. Is anybody there, Mr. Handy? Like 1, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 1.
Um,
like watching.
Oh.
You got the volume down.
Yeah, but it's coming out the other speaker.
What other speaker? We're not used to really being live, okay? I want to admit it. When you guys see Premiere, it's not live. I don't know if you knew that, but it's if something says Premiere, it's like the first time it's been on video. So if I said, oh, it's going to premiere at 5 o'clock, that just means it's the first time it's going to be on. So I'm not trying to fake you guys out or anything. That's just the way it works when it says premiere for YouTube. And if it says live, I'm like really live. Like I'm here fumbling and I don't know what I'm saying and all that stuff, but I can't redo it. With Premiere, I've had to start 2 times or maybe 3 times, which is 23, which is W. So anyway, do we have many people watching yet?
Yes.
How many? Like 2?
21.
21! Yay, you guys! Share the stream. Anyway, so what I'm doing is a redo, and I'm thinking it'll be better this time because, when you do something more than once, it comes out better. So I thought Mr. Handy was going to sit next to me. That's why I'm off center. Do you want to get a chair so you can sit by me?
No.
But you can talk.
I want to be anonymous.
Okay. He wants to be anonymous. Now I'm off center, but whatever. Anyway, share it with anybody who'll put up with me. So what I'm doing is a Gematria decode of President Trump's CPAC speech, which if you're in the future, it's 2022. It was February 26, 2022. So if you're time traveling, that's when it was. So anyway, let's see. Oh, and CPAC stands for Conservative Political Action Committee, in case you didn't know. And I wouldn't say he's conservative by any means. He's just kind of like a patriot and pro-America, pro-world, when you get right down to it. Let's see. Yeah. So what was I going to tell you? Yeah. Okay. The gist of it really is when you hear what he's saying, think about it. It's not just a speech. It's not just like a rally. This is the real State of the Union address, which is required either by letter or, broadcast. Because back in the old days, they only had to send a letter. So that's what this is. It's the real State of the Union because he's still president. And that's where the Kim Clement prophecy comes in with the 2 presidents. And it's not 2 presidents with, the Biden and President Trump. It's President Trump and JFK. So President Trump is 45 we always call him, 45 is on his hats and things like that. And JFK is 46 because he was president number 35. I always look at him as POTUS 35. And now he's also 46, so it's 45, 46. Does anybody have a question, Bob? Or Mr. Handy? Oh my gosh, I said his name. Any questions that you noticed?
No.
Oh, you know what would help? If you guys have a question, put a question mark in the front of your question, and that kind of helps us for him, to see if there's a question. Because I'd be glad to answer a question. So anyway, so that's that. So that's what we're working on. It's really long. I mean, the State of the Union, that speech was about an hour and a half. So I certainly didn't get into the whole thing. There's a lot more to decode than what I did, believe me. So this is how he started out. Is standing before you today, I'm thrilled to report that our incredible movement, and then he breaks off, a movement that nobody has ever seen anything like it, never been anything like it before, is strong and growing stronger. So that's how it started. And it's all decodable. So if somebody wants to do it, feel free and put it in comments. Let's see. So movement was brought up a few times. So it's 107, which, drop the 0, it's 17. But 107 is hidden meaning. Joseph Biden, Castle Rock, which is the studio in California, which has the second White House set, and my Cary Grant. Hi, Cary. So, Cary Grant. Every woman in Hollywood loved Cary Grant. Every woman in the United States loved Cary Grant. So if you don't know who Cary Grant is, look him up. Most of my audience would know who Cary Grant is. Let's see. So, Castle Rock, Cary Grant, celebrities, surprise. So all that matches his word movement. It also matches military and engineering and experts. I wonder what they're up to. He said anything a couple of times soon after, and that's 98. And that equals alpha and omega. And canned peaches. And Juan Savins talked about peaches a lot in his movie, The Called. If you haven't seen The Called, make sure you watch it. Okay. Oh, another one that matches 98 is the show and do not fear. So don't be afraid no matter what is happening. Okay. Let's see. He said, they have no idea the sleeping giant they have awoken. So sleeping giant is 138. Happens to equal Keep America Great, his second, when he was running for president the second time, that was his slogan. 138 is also Donald Trump. So Keep America Great and Sleeping Giant is Donald Trump. And Divine Feminine, which is so important right now. Divine Feminine because of, oh, there goes Misty. It's okay. Divine Feminine for our Jackie and other people. I think there's 3. I might be wrong. I've been wrong a lot, but I think there's 3 of them. Queen of Heaven, the finish line. So that is cool. Hi, Missy. Let's see. He said they'll find out on November 8th, and even more so on November 2024. So who knows what that means?
Kathy, can you say what the movie name is?
The Called.
Okay.
Yeah, the Wanna Save a movie is the Called, CALLED. And if you can't find it on YouTube, look on Rumble. You'll find it. Jennifer Mack is the one who helped him with The Called. So likely Jennifer Mack, MAC, has it. And likely on Rumble if it's not on YouTube, like I said. So November 8th is 151. And that makes me think of Bacardi, okay? And Bacardi had, well, I don't think they have it anymore, but when we went on our honeymoon, we went to a Bacardi plant in Puerto Rico, and they have 151 rum.
Yep.
Which I had, and it was not good.
You liked it too much.
Yeah. So 151 is Jesus Christ. So he talks about November 8th, and it equals Jesus Christ. Equals beautiful voice, which you can think of as 107. You can also think of it as Greg Wagland, Wagland, which I've been talking about a lot with Sherlock Holmes and other stories. Look up audiobooks by Greg Wagland, and I think it's W-A-G, Wagland for, Junior liked his dog Friday, and that's been coming up in comms. So anyway, the incarnation, a power to change, like from one to another. Let's see. He said also, it's 417, and I didn't really tell you, in case you knew what I'm doing. I'm doing Gematria, or Gematria, I say it different ways. And I use the website gematrix.org, and A equals 1, B equals 2, all the way to Z is 26. And at gematrix.org, you just put in the word or the phrase that you want to decode, and it will come up with 3 choices, either Jewish, English, or simple. And I always choose simple because that's what our favorite Anon, number 17th letter, told us to do. Simple Gematria. So, yeah. So that's what I'm doing. And November 20 is the Great American Comeback. And that's a POTUS phrase, that's POTUS 45. He says that. And figure it out yet? That matches. And Mrs. Jesus Christ matches. The Holy Threesome. And I get threes all the time. It's like either there's 3 men and there's 3 women, the way I look at it. Scars from the past, like on the hands and the feet and things like that. 423, and that's W is 23, and Savin called in for over 15, 16 years. He called in as W. So that was a big deal. He said this at 423, and I didn't say W equals 23. We did it twice, and we'll do it again. We're going to do it to be doing it again. It sounds like another SACRIFICE. And I do know how to spell it, but I'm kind of breaking the word up so that I don't get kicked off of, the channel, the YouTube, here. So, and then he said, we're going to do it again, a third time. So if anybody has any comments, please feel free to throw in a comment. I'd love to know what you think about a third time. Let's see. He said he said Republicans, but he broke the word up into 2. So it was really what we call a Trumpology. And a Trumpology is when he misspeaks, but he's not really. He's doing it on purpose. Or in this case, he broke the word up into 2 parts. So he said Republic. Yeah, he said Republicans. So Republic is 83. So I did it separately, like it was a separate word. And it equals my name, Catherine, with a C. And it equals Jonathan. I think it's awesome that my name matches Jonathan. And cowboy. Now, who do we know that always puts his feet up? I can't show my feet. They're not, the camera's not there. I was going to put my feet up. Who do we know that puts their feet up with cowboy boots, like really often? And his alias to me definitely is Jonathan. One of Saban is Jonathan, in case you're new. It equals The Snake, which is a poem that President Trump reads every so often. And it's supposedly about, you know, I don't know, immigration and crossing the border illegally and all that kind of thing. But he's kind of really talking about the Garden of Eden, so think about it that way. Let's see. He said, it takes me a year to make up, and then it takes me a year again. So he just brought up year 2 times. And year equals 49. 49 is Mr. R. And Die Hard, Lord, Alive, Undead, Dallas, TEX for Texas, Endgame. So that's pretty cool. And he said, we will save, and I broke this up. He said, we will save our country. So we will save is a phrase. So that's 131, and it equals John F. Kennedy. Our country is 170. Or is it 70? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not even reading it right. The Fat Lady Sings. And that happened on the video that I have about Penguin 6. It might be the one where it's only Penguin 6 and not the one with Nancy Drew. Because I did one about Penguin 6 and Nancy Drew, and then I did one that was only about Penguin 6. And I think it was the second one. So if you want to watch that and you haven't seen it, it's really cool. Yeah, so the Fat Lady sang on that video. So he was there by chance to see the Fat Lady singing the Ukraine national anthem when a jet flew over the Lincoln Memorial, which is where President Trump and the whole Trump family were standing in 2019. On the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Actually, they were up quite high where you could see the statue. Just by chance, this all happened, right? Yeah. It was the start of another phase, in my opinion. So that's what happened. Penguin 6 is giving comms. I know some of you don't agree, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree. It's perfectly fine. So let's see what happened next. I'm just going to read this part. It's so fun. And he says, and John Kennedy, he's running. Well, it won't be much of an election. He's going to win so easily. And then he said, just John, oh, he's popular. Where's John? Oh, look at John. Where's John? Oh, great, John. You're popular, John. Wow, great student. He was a great student. Comes from an incredible state. The other senator is not great. He went to Oxford, John did. He was an incredible student, brilliant guy. He's with us all the way. Okay, so he said John 7 times. That was all in that paragraph, the 47. That's what John equals. It equals judge, beast, LMFAO, legend, a hero, C. Die. I think he's one of the 2 witnesses. I think Jackie is the second witness. I could be wrong, but that's certainly how it's looking, at least at the moment. I'm a kid. And then President Trump said, Madison 3 times in a row. So Madison is 75, and it equals God crew, like a group, and magic wand. So that's pretty cool. I mean, President Trump says, "Oh, I think we have a magic wand." He said, because President Obama had said, "Oh, if you think you're going to fix the economy or whatever," he said, "you're going to need a magic wand." And then President Trump comes back and says, "I think we have a magic wand." And that equals God cruise, like I said. So he brought up Mark Green 3 times in a row. That equals 49, which is Mr. R. Marjorie Taylor Greene, he brought up again. So it's, Green is Mr. R. And he brought up Congressman Ronnie Jackson. And he was the White House physician. Well, the White House doctor. And let's see, I'm sorry. White House doctor is 208. And it equals fake deaths of celebrities. And you can also think of a celebrity as, President Kennedy. It's not just like a Hollywood person. And then it equals the 2 chosen ones. So I think that might be what's going to happen. Go back and read Revelation 11. Yeah, you're going to be like, whoa. Congressman Ronnie Jackson, he knows every inch of me. And he thinks it's actually a beautiful sight. And then, what was it? I think it was the night before. I don't remember. But we watched the old movie Clue, because I was thinking, well, if anything's going to have comms, it's going to be that movie Clue, because everything seems to have comms. But the movie Clue had a million comms. It was like telling the whole story about what's going on. So I do recommend watching that, and it's really funny. It's got the cast is all these just comedians from the time. Maybe it was the early 90s. It's on YouTube. So when we watched it, I remembered that the maid, who was, a voluptuous maid, she said, "They know every inch of my body." And it was like right around the time we watched this CPAC speech. And he said that. So I think what we're going to find out is a lot of things that he said are out there in public and we don't even realize it. So he brought up Devin Nunes, which is Nunes, not Z. So Devin Nunes is 127. It equals French bulldog. He's tough. No, I'm sorry. He's tough as 103. Yeah. Sorry. Killing machine is Devin Nunes, which I think he is. He's tough is 103. That was the next thing he said about Devin. Time's up. Invasion. Main event. Rods of God. Coincidences. And like a fight, which is 88. He brought up like a fight. Like Devin Nunes likes a fight. That's 88. And it's Trump messages, vaults, flappy things, plural, that are on a flagpole. And he said he's now working on Truth Social, President Trump's new social website, like Twitter and everything. He said, don't wrestle him, because, Devin Nunes was a wrestler, and he won all kinds of awards and trophies. And then he was talking about using a machine, maybe in a gym. I guess that's how I took it. And he said the machine starts to burn, like if Devin uses it. Well, that happens to equal the hunt for Red October. And I think it's going to look like nukes are sent off like nuclear missiles from submarines, because it just comes up too often to not look like it's happening. It won't be real. let's see, he talked about Polly, and that's Jim Jordan's wife. And let's see, he asked Polly out in the audience, he said, is it one or two? Did you produce two? And he was talking about, did she produce two All-American kids, like in college, did she have one or did she have two All-Americans in wrestling? And she answered, oh, I had two. And to me, it was a calm about the twins, and I'm always talking about Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr. coming back as JFK Jr. And that's why I always just say Jr. instead of JFK Jr. To me, it just seems more appropriate to say Jr. when I'm talking about him. So yeah, and the way to look at, in case you're confused, okay, if you look up, let's see, if you look up John F. Kennedy's, this is how they were twins, okay? I hope this makes sense. If you look up John F. Kennedy's, not Jr., but John F. Kennedy's birth date, or birth year, I should say, it says in Wikipedia and other sites that it's 1917. And if you look up Joseph Patrick Kennedy Jr., and you have to add Jr., because, of course, there was the dad, his birth date is his birth year is 1915. I'm getting myself confused. So John is 1917 and Joseph Patrick is 1915. So that's what it says, but it's not true. And a lot of things that you look at online, like birth dates and birth years and even facts that they say are true, are not true. So look at 1917 for John at JFK, as a time of day. And the time of day on a 24-hour clock, with like a military clock, would add up to 7:17. Of course, 17. So it would be 7:17 p.m. that he was born. If you look at Joseph Patrick, they say 1915 that he was born, it would be 7:15 p.m. I had to double check. I was having second thoughts. So 7:17 for John and 7:15 for Joseph Patrick. So John is 2 minutes younger. I know I'm hesitating, but I'm right. So John is the younger by 2 minutes. Because twins look at, if you know people who are twins, they're definitely act like that. If the one that was born 2 or whatever minutes sooner, the first one, acts like the firstborn, which you wouldn't think it makes a big deal, but a difference, but it does. It seems to really make a difference. I got a question, sorry. Mr. Handy's off camera. Okay.
Could the fake nukes be the scare event?
Fake news about a certain event?
Nukes.
Oh yeah. Oh, it'll be definitely. It'll be. That's what I think. Yeah, I thought that for a long time. Like, I started my channel in July 4th last year. And that's kind of what I started with, was all the FFs that was going to scare people right out of their minds. And that's the reason I started the channel, was because I was like, you guys, don't be afraid. It's going to be okay. And that's why I did it. Yeah, the fake news. Fake nukes, I meant. And UK. I said news, sorry. Anything else?
No.
Okay. So let's see. If you have a question, throw it in there, and he'll stop me and I'll answer your question. Let's see. And And then, this happened. This is CPAC speech was on February 26th, and he mentioned over the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks that something was going to come out, and I don't know if he was talking about just I can't even say the word ELECTION, because that was getting people banned saying that word. So I don't know if he's talking about that or something bigger, even bigger than that. Like, it's hard to know. 1645, and that's 45 for him, POTUS 45. He said, as one of the worst scandals ever, I call it the crime of the century. And you'll hear him say that a lot, crime of the century. Well, the crime of the century is 241, and that equals President John F. Kennedy. So there you go. And let's see what else. Welcome home, my brother, the twin, right? That's what he's talking about, the two twins. The truth is to be told, and the nightmare on Elm Street. And that's the actual street in the Dealey Plaza area where JFK supposedly was gone. And he didn't die, in case you're new. He's here. And another one that matches 241 is, I have no mercy this time. I think he's talking about Adam and Eve, who was Jesus and Mary, and that's just my thoughts. I know nobody has to agree with that, but that's what I'm thinking. Let's see. He talked about ballot harvesting at 1650. I'm talking about minutes and seconds, 1650. Ballot harvesting, as it gets released, it's all on tape. It's all on tape. And the second time he said it, it was at 1653, which is a reverse 35. So he said, it's all on tape twice. That's 144, which is, we die together. Like, all right, which ones? I think it's Adam and Eve, Jesus, Mary. I think there's 2 Jesuses, maybe 3. I know I'm way out there, but also matches Pearl Harbor Day, which is supposedly President Trump's real birth date. Because, from what I understand, he was adopted. Like, I'm not sure, but that's what I had heard. And that his real birth date was what you call Pearl Harbor Day. And that's likely why they chose that date, 12/7, as a date to attack. Because they like to pick dates that are important to normal people and, people that know what's going on, and make it their date, and take it away. Like NINEELEVEN, like that date. So from what I understand, that's Jesus's real birth date, at least one of them. Let's see. It's all on tape, 144, also equals a perfect proof. Remove curse. Now, okay, this is what I've been thinking. Okay, so to have the curses removed, Jesus had to die on the cross. I mean, that's what we've all read about, right, in the Bible. And that he took our place, and like it says in the Bible, he was the propitiation for our sins. And that just means he was the replacement, Well, let's pretend for a minute that he didn't die on the cross, which is kind of what I've been thinking, and I'm always changing my mind. So it's just a go with the flow kind of thing. What if that didn't happen? What if that was changed? What if Mary was supposed to be there? Because I think some bad stuff happened back in the Garden of Eden. I haven't gotten into that yet, but I think that will come up later. But, Well, I might as well tell you. Okay. So what I've been getting in decodes is that the serpent, you want to say the snake, like in President Trump's poem, but the serpent who was, I'm sure, disguised as a person, and wonderful looking and all that kind of stuff, that he didn't just tempt her with like a literal piece of fruit. And I've been getting this from Juana Saban, not literally, but figuratively. He's talking about the DNA a lot, and talking about a tree and how looking at the DNA, because it's like almost like a ladder, and he was talking about a tree, and I can't explain it any better than that. I lost my place. Oh no. I don't know where I was. Anyway, he was talking about all that, and what I'm getting from it is that the DNA is life. I mean, think about. I mean, it is. It's all of life, the DNA. So the way it looks to me is the forbidden fruit was DNA of a human. And I know that that's really hard to accept, but I think that's what it is. And I've even gotten that in decodes lately, that it was people or a person or something like that. And it's happened too many times to ignore. So I'm just being honest from what I got. And nobody wants to think anything like that, but they did something that God didn't want them to do. And it wasn't just eating an apple, you know. So, okay, so then take it up to the cross. If they did something they weren't supposed to do in the garden, what makes us think they would do what they're supposed to do at the cross? So that's kind of what I think might have happened. And that's why the two witnesses are coming forward in Revelation, on Revelation 11. So, like I said before, go back and read it and just see what happens. But whatever happens, they come back. So don't worry about anything. I'm not trying to say this to freak anybody out or anything like that. I'm here to say everything's going to be okay. So anyway, I'm going to skip ahead. I've just been rambling a lot. And then in 1655, he said, and truth, and he should have said in that sentence, he should have said true, because the group is called True the Vote that he was referencing. But he said truth. And so that's a Trumpology. So anyway, Truth the Vote. I want to thank the incredible women for the job. Yeah. And then he said at 17 even, exactly, he said, Catherine with a C. That's how I look at it, right? It could be a K, whatever. Catherine and all of them for the job they've done. And it's an incredible, incredible job. They've done a really good job. So I was pretty excited because I said out loud, he hears what you're saying. I don't know if you know that, but he knows what you're thinking and he knows what you're saying. And so does John. So does all these people. I know that's hard to understand, but they do. And a little bit before all this happened, I said, oh, President Trump, will you say my name? I did. I said that. And it's 17 minutes exactly, he said, Catherine. So I think he said it to me. You're probably going, no, he didn't. It's a coincidence. Our favorite Anon said there are no coincidences. So I take it for me. Let's see. He brought up, oh, hi. Hi, honey. Oh, hi, honey. Come up and say hi. I'm glad you said that. That would have scared me. He said, Rosie. She's How many? Let's see. He said it's on tape again. It's 1705. Oh, fives are comms. Anytime it's on a five, like, 05 or 15 or 30. And he said, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 1717. He said swing state, which is 137, and that equals Vincent Fusca, our Vincent Fusca, my Vincent Fusca, your Vincent Fusca, and which also equals Jesus avatar. Okay, it can't be more obvious that Vincent Fusca is at least a Jesus. It might not be what you say the Jesus, but a Jesus. It also, Vincent Fusca, I didn't know this, at 137 equals, which is swing state, equals toilet paper. Okay, so remember the whole toilet paper crisis? And Juan had said at one point or another that, President Trump had, authority over every industry in the United States because of, what was it, the War Powers Act. And if there was really a toilet paper shortage and it was real, he would have just said, okay, all the wood fiber or whatever it is that you need for toilet paper, to make toilet paper, is all going to the companies making like Charmin and all that stuff. He said there wouldn't have been a toilet paper shortage if it was real. He would have fixed it, So that was fun. I thought that was really fun. The toilet paper bitch is Vincent Fusca. And Johnny Carson a while ago, what a while ago, ages ago, probably in the early 80s or late 70s, he created a toilet paper crisis. He did. He said in one of his stand-ups in the beginning where he was doing his opening monologue, he said something about a toilet paper shortage, and everybody took it as serious and went out and bought toilet paper, and then that created a shortage. And he came back on again and he said, I'm really sorry, that was just a joke. So he's in on this, you guys. Johnny Carson is alive. He's in a Clouseau video, CLOUS, 1S, EAU. And it's so obvious. It's so obvious. There's only 11 Clouseau videos. You should be able to find it. It starts out as the Tonight Show music, because that's what he, in case you're young, that's what he did. He did a late night talk show. So anyway, and tippy top. Remember President Trump said tippy top to, one of an anon on the board, like a Coon or whatever it was at the time. Maybe it was 4chan, whatever. I can't remember what they were called. Somebody said, oh, you say tippy top? And soon, and within a week, he said tippy top. And it was, I think it was when the Easter Bunny was out there with him, which is probably John, right? So it also equals the fat lady sings, okay? So so Vincent Fusca equals, and it equals anonymous and fat lady sings. So 137 is a big number. And I just told you what the fat lady sang doing the Ukraine national anthem, and that's when everything kicked into gear for another phase. I gotta skip ahead. This is like way long. Yeah, just dumping that. Let's see. He said at 2145, so that's 45 for him, a major war in Europe may very well erupt. That's how they start. And at 2153, he said, Joe Biden has turned. And then he said, calm, like CALM, but I took it as calm, COMM, into chaos. Let's see, what else is cool? I got to just focus here on what's exciting. 2350, 35. 35 for POTUS 35, the 23 is W for Juan. and it equals, well, actually, the crowd was chanting USA, USA, USA. You know how you say it 3 times in a row? Well, when people are chanting that, it equals 123 for if you're keeping track of this. But when you say that 3 times in a row, you're saying Lord Jesus. So I thought you might like that. So when you hear everybody chanting that, that's what they're saying. And he said, I gave Ukraine the javelins that everyone is talking about. And javelins is 92. It equals the Joker. The thing in Ukraine is not real. It's not real at all. So just decode some of the headlines, like on George News or wherever you see a headline about Ukraine or what's going on. Take whatever's highlighted or in quotes or whatever. Take a phrase out of it, decode it, and you'll see what's really going on all on your own. You don't need anybody like me.
Putin is after the bio.
Yeah, that's not true either. He's after the bioweapons. Yeah, if there were any. To me, it sounds like there aren't any bioweapons. That's the way I've been taking it. So, yeah, I don't think there's any bioweapons. So, and he's a white hat. So even if there were any, he's going to just take them out. So one way or another, whether I'm right or wrong, it's going to be fine. So don't worry about that. He said no repercussions. This is President Trump. No repercussions or threats whatsoever. Now he's talking about President Putin when he said that. And he's saying, oh, it's horrible. There's no repercussions or there's no threats against him whatsoever. So, the Biden is letting him get away with all this, is what he's kind of saying. And what President Trump means by no repercussions or threats whatsoever means there's no threats against Ukraine or us. So let's see. And he said, the real problem is our leaders are dumb, dumb, dumb. He said that 3 times. That dumb is 40. It equals IMQ and pain. I am back. And then he said, this is an assault on humanity and not a pretty thing to watch. Well, the assault on humanity was the bad guys assaulting humanity, right? It wasn't what's happening in Ukraine. He double speaks, triple speaks all the time. Yeah, not a pretty thing to watch. Well, he's been watching videos and all kinds of stuff. Either the justice end of this, which is, believe me, not pretty to watch. It's not just like, it's not like what one would think of for, the end of a normal trial here. I think it's way beyond that, way. And that's from all the decoding and things that I've been hearing Juan say. So anyway, when I left my term, oil was $36 a gallon. And that's, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, a barrel. And if you reverse 36, that's 63 for 1963. That's why it was at that number. And thank you. And he said, now, this was a couple of weeks ago, but he said, now it's hitting 100 and they think it's going to 150. So, and then at 30:15, he says, Russia is now making more money than they ever thought possible. I think the reset has really happened and we just don't know it yet. And they're making money. So, I can be wrong, but I think it's happened. And that's why there's still money out there, because honestly, we would all be bankrupt by now. All the countries would be 100% bankrupt if that hadn't happened at this point. Let's see. And then he brought up, it's horrible to watch. It's horrible, horrible. I mean, he brought that up so many times. It's on tape, it's horrible, difficult to watch. I mean, it's so obvious. He's double talking. Horrible is 87, equals Junior, Vincent, Antarctica, which is confirmed. And the voice, like I was saying about, Juan and I'm going to say Greg Wagland. Beautiful voice. I mean, you won't think he sounds like Juan or anything, but they can sound like whatever they want. It's like a perfect British accent. So you're going to go, oh, I'm listening to Greg Wagland doing Sherlock Holmes and other books. He doesn't sound like him. Well, he won't, but he is. I've decoded it a lot, and that's who that is. Let's see. Let's get more exciting. More exciting. Let's see. He said, that's incredible. And whenever he says that a lot, that's incredible. Well, to me, that means not credible. And let's see. That's incredible. It's 149. It equals, I've got a secret. This is a test. So everything is on tape again. That was at 32:55 for comms. And let's see. Oh, I'm going to skip ahead. 34:53, and that is a reverse 35. Unbelievably, Biden is now claiming that you must sacrifice by paying higher energy prices to foot the cost of his failed energy policy in Europe. There's a key word in there. Let's see. 35:05. I saw John Kerry, another John, on television. I'm thinking likely a closed circuit television. We have a world, 35:18. We have a world ready to blow up and disintegrate over energy. And he's, meaning Kerry, is talking about global warming. It's going to look like the world is ending. You know that, right? Let's see. He said just 2 days ago, he said that a couple times, that's 200. It equals 10 days of darkness. Prepare yourself. The veil will be lifted. And Mount Rushmore. I just saw a video online, I'm off my notes, but of a man talking to a class, like he was the teacher. It looks like a high school. I have it on my Telegram if you want to look at it. Just Mrs. Handy, are you? And he's saying to the class that he was, I don't know if he was a co-pilot or the pilot of a helicopter, that it was Don Jr.'s helicopter, and he brought Junior. Now, you know how I say JFK Jr., and I call him Junior. So he brought Junior on Don Jr.'s helicopter to the top of Mount Rushmore. You know, remember that July 4th a couple years ago? And remember there's a picture of somebody on top of George Washington waving like with both hands. 5 and 5 comms, right? And, when President Trump's giving his speech, you know that they wouldn't let anybody on top of Mount Rushmore just by chance when President Trump is there. For one thing, he would be like I want to say something else, but I'm going to say target. You know, if somebody was up there, that would be a not safe thing to do. So he was definitely somebody important. I figured that's who it was. Most of us did. And now we have a guy on there saying, yeah, he was in the helicopter and he was the one that flew John up to Mount Rushmore for that. So that's pretty neat. You guys got to look at that and share it. Get that out there. Let's see. This is important. I can't skip this part. Under Joe Biden, we are losing our country no different than we would have in losing it in a war. I'm going to say it again. That was awkward. Under Joe Biden, we are losing our country no different than we would have in losing it in a war. Now, the reason I said that, that's exactly what President Trump said, for one thing, word for word. And it's going to look like we lose a war, is what I keep getting. It's going to look like we've, I guess, capitulated or given up. Like one calls it World War IV. Most people look at it as World War III. So if you look at headlines or people with talking points on the news, they'll talk about World War III. Well, Juan looks at it as World War IV, and the reason he looks at it as World War IV, which we are going through a war, most definitely, and there's a lot of casualties that we don't even know about, and we are so grateful to those who literally sacrificed their lives for the rest of us. But he talks about one World War III to him is when we did it was a currency war, and it was probably, I'm sure, way beyond just a currency war with Russia, not Russia, the Soviet Union, USSR. In case you're young, so Russia used to be, much larger. USSR was much larger than Russia, and it included, Poland and all these Eastern Bloc states or countries. And now they're, on their own. They're not part of the USSR, obviously. So I think, like I just said in the beginning of all this rambling, that it's going to look like we've given up. And I kept thinking, oh, President Trump's going to show up. And the more I kept hearing about all this stuff that I kept decoding and listening to Juan double talking and President Trump, it really does sound like, and people are the world is going to freak out if they think, we've lost to China, we've lost to Iran, we've lost to, all those guys that look like they're the bad guys in the media are the ones that are helping, Iran, China, Russia, what else? What's the fourth one? I can't think. North Korea, NOCO, and Kim Jong-un. They're all on our side. They're all on the good guys' side. And I know it sounds weird if you're new, but that's what's going on. And when he went over to North Korea to, have that sit down, probably before that even happened, I would think. But anyway, at least sometime after that, that's when that's when they all came together. Kim Jong-un, like President Trump was patting him on the back, and when he was walking with him, he had his arm around his back, and he was treating him more like his son than he was of a dastardly, evil empire. You know what I mean? Let's see. Oh, he said, okay. I'm sorry, there's a pause. I know that's a bad thing because people just flip the video off. He said their assets have been frozen. He said accused of loyalty to foreign powers. And then he said they're being hunted down like enemies of their own government and treated worse than drug dealers or murderers or RAPISTS. Okay, so some people, he's double talking, some people are having that happen to them. They're being hunted down like enemies and all that. Let's see. We will never, 3046. Now that would be JFK for POTUS 46. We will, he said this quite vehemently, we will never forget what they did to our children. We will hold them accountable at the ballot box. And you can look at these, because it's all separate phrases. You can look at them separately as you're listening, as you're decoding. Let's see. How many more pages do I have? My goodness gracious. Yeah, I think it has been going on too long. I'm just going to skip to the end. Sorry. Okay, we're getting there. Yeah, here we are. He said about NATO, he said, I told them they're all delinquent. And the way I looked at it was they're juvenile delinquents, like they're acting badly, because he told them to all pay up money that they were behind in their, dues to be a country involved in the NATO peace treaty. So he said, he said, they said he's going to get us into a third world war. Well, that's kind of what's going on, if you want to, I'm kind of looking at it that way. And he said, I went to a child who was 5 years old. He said, I take the soldiers out last. Now he's talking about Afghanistan. He was 5 and he understood. So he's trying to say this little kid knew better than to take the soldiers out first and leave the American citizens behind. And the whole thing with Afghanistan was fake. I mean, there was somebody running along next to a plane, when you see all that video. If you go back and look at some of those video clips, you're going to find one running along with a Trump hat on. So that was all pretend. It's part of a movie. There's 2 planes in the video clips that are in the background, and if you really look at them, they're like inflatable. They're not real. And so one plane in the front is real, but then the other 2 are not real. And they use them, I guess, in movies and things like that when they want it to look like there's more planes in the background and they don't have to pay for the planes, so they're inflatable. Let's see. And then he said, losing, this is a tipping point. And he said, it's losing is not an option. Well, not an option is 153, and that's John Kennedy Jr. And my great test. Remember how I was saying about what could be coming up for a couple of people in the future? And 11th hour. So does something happen at the 11th hour? Does something change at the last minute? I mean, I kind of wonder about that. And he brought up, I have a young son, Barron, and young son reminds me of Junior. And then he said, as usual, we will make America powerful again. And then it's all, we will make America. And then wealthy, strong, proud, and safe and great again. Now, this is the last page, I promise. You guys are awesome that stuck to the end. And I do hope you share this even later because, it's still going to be on YouTube, even though it's live right now. So believe it or not, thank you is a big little phrase that means a lot. And he says thank you a lot. I mean, normal people say thank you, right? But when he says it, it's a big deal. And he says it quite often. Thank you is 115. It equals Trinity. I think, like I said before, there's 3 men and there's 3 women. So it's almost like, I don't know if you want to look at it as twins or what, but there's 3 of each. And it equals love you. So when he's saying thank you, he's saying to you, he loves you. So I love that. I love that. He said, okay, well, I won't go on. I'll finish. Thank you. Okay, 115. It equals women, plural, gods. And what did I just say about the 3 and the 3? A trinity of 3 women, 3 men. Okay. And Ruby, cute. And remember, our Junior, when he was, dressed as Vincent Fusca in that rally, the first rally in Moon Township, Pennsylvania, he had a sign written in red ink, which is all decodable, I know, and it said Ruby Cute on there. Now, it's got lots of meanings. I mean, he had a cat named Ruby, and you can decode each word and all that stuff. But it equals Trinity. So Ruby Cute also equals Trinity. It also equals, like I just said a second ago, great test. So he wrote Ruby Cute on his sign that he held up when he was sitting there with Carolyn. but it equals great test. So they've known for a very long time that this big test is coming up. Let's see. And then the song he's had played the last couple of times. It was by Sam and Dave, and it's Hold On, I'm Coming. And if you haven't heard that, you should listen to it on YouTube. And Hold On equals 68. So I know it's only part of the title, but you can definitely break these things up. And it equals Ignore, and it also equals Bad News. So ignore bad news. So when it looks like the world is ending and we've lost a war, ignore it. And your relatives will be like freaking out, and you'll be going, it's not a big deal. They also recorded the Sam and Dave, a song called Soul Man, which is the same song that with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd sang. They were on Saturday Night Live a long time back, and it was from a movie called Blues Brothers. But it's really cool that he picked the song that somebody also produced as Soul Man, because that's who he is. He's like one of, if he's not the tippy top, I think he's the tippy top, and that's why he said tippy top. So I think he's like the top, and the other guys are like all part of tippy top. That'd be a good way to talk about him, that he's the tippy top. Okay, and at the very end of this video, which you can see on RSBN's channel on Rumble, they can't broadcast it on YouTube. Well, they can do live. YouTube won't let them put a video up, so they can only do live. They can't keep something. So as soon as they do live, they have to take it down, which is really frustrating. And I'm sure frustrating for them, Anyway, so look at it on Rumble, and a literal boom was lowered, and he knows where all the camera angles are. He knows exactly what's going on. So a boom is like a big long arm, and it's usually got a camera on the end of it. And a boom was lowered right there. He's standing on the stage. He walked back a little bit, from the front of the stage. Then he walked back, and then he stayed there a bit. And this big, huge camera boom was right diagonally in front of him. So that's where all the cameras were. So a boom was lowered, like boom, boom, boom. And he was also standing where there was a red line. That's a big, big deal in all our comms. So I hope you guys didn't fall asleep. And thank you so much. And does anybody have any questions? I'll wait a second. I'll just, no. Okay. Thank you for putting up with me. And I love you guys. And Bob, can you hit the button? And thank you so much. Share the stream. And if you did donate, thank you. I know I don't have it up there yet, but whatever. Take care of each other. Bye. Love you. Oh, yeah.